Hello everybody, it's me, Andy Decayed Andy here, a day late, or later than I should be, but we're here with Big D. Hello, Big D.
Hello.
Today, or this week, you have Starscream being strangled next to you, and Thundercracker eating an Energon goodie.
Oh my.
Yeah, so you're in good company, potentially. There wasn't a huge amount of news yesterday. There's obviously been a little bit more today. I don't think enough for a full show. Next week, we should have enough for stuff. I suppose, but
yeah,
I'll briefly say that the quote-unquote new Spinister figure looks shit compared to the previous release.
I mean, he's more toy accurate, but I probably do prefer the original version, to be fair.
Well, yeah, the one they did first. Is it more toy accurate? I don't know. I need to check. Those colors are really dark on his legs, but we'll figure that out for next week. So this week... Big D suggested, obviously, last time we did a toy talking show to do Universe and Classics, so that's what we're doing. We've obviously not doing all of Universe. I've just gone kind of alphabetically down this list, and I got up to the top of... Yeah, I got through the Ds, and I went, okay, that's enough, and F onwards we can do next time, because that's still a big old heap of toys, theoretically.
Yeah.
And Classics, I'd say, is like one of the most important toy lines that happened for Transformers.
I'd say so, yeah.
It's the toy line that defined what Transformers, I think, would become, which was clearly focused on the collector market more so than the kids market.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate statement. I mean, it came at a point where, because it was before the movies, it was after the Armada trilogy.
Yep.
And there really wasn't a lot out there. I mean, I remember the first time I saw the rumblings about the toy line, because honestly, it's what got me back into collecting Transformers properly. Because, I mean, I'd done the Beast Wars stuff when I was at university, just as a laugh, and been filling out bits and pieces here and there through eBay and auctions and whatnot.
Yeah.
I picked up the odd bit of the Unicron trilogy stuff, just things that intrigued me, but not too. I hadn't really gone deep into any of them at that point. And then I was reading an issue of Toy Fair at work, because I worked in a big bookshop and we had American magazines in, so Toy Fair was one of the regular imports we got. And we had a big old spread on Transformers Classics.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, ooh, this looks interesting. And I saw the designs, and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is those classic looks, but given a modern twist.
And
I was all for that. So yeah, and that was kind of off to the races. It did rather well for them, and
yeah, and then it evolved into Universe. I'm kind of sad it evolved into Universe, because I like the Classics brand. I like the packaging. I like that stupid little card on the front of the packaging where you flipped it up.
Spinner. Yeah,
no, where you flipped it, you unflipped it, and it showed what the robot mode was, and when you
that was it. Yeah,
it was like, oh, it's quite nice. It's stupid, but it's something a kid could fiddle with without having to, play with the toy itself. And the nice bright colors off the packaging as well, silver outlining and then red and yellow for the center to highlight the toy. It's like, it's quite nice. It's quite nice.
Yeah, it's still one of the more distinct examples of branding for the franchise.
Yeah, I think it definitely took a step down for Universe, where it just became a kind of maroony red, mechanically color, but a lot less vibrant. It was just like, it didn't grab you.
Yeah, they kind of leaned into the old tech specs kind of backgroundy look for it. Which
I can appreciate that, but I just don't think it had the same oomph as the Classics line. Yeah. And don't get us wrong, the Classic line is not a perfect line.
Oh God, no.
Some of the figures are very good, and we'll get to it. And welcome, Puddle of Cheese. Welcome.
Hey, dude.
Yeah, I hope you're doing well. We're going to start off with probably the worst of the Classics line. This was a 2-pack. It was a Classics Megatron as a tank and Classic Optimus Prime in The Ultimate Battle. Do you remember what the DVD actually had on it? Because I don't.
Oh, I can't remember.
I got the individual action figures later on. I didn't get this as a 2-pack because I didn't.
I did the same. I got Prime later on. Never had Megatron.
He's not great.
No, I mean, props for them for the fact that they went for that more G2 inspired look. Not full G2, but the green is not. That's where you normally associate green with Megatron, is as the G2 design. It's a bit
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a tank, I suppose, as well.
Mm.
If maybe it's a redesign. The issues with this figure are gimmick based, unsurprising.
Yes.
If you're looking at images, you might notice his right hand is not a hand. It is just a it's a hinge joint which has the turret on. I think the turret's for the tank is a missile. Do I remember that right? I don't remember that completely.
I think so. Yeah. That sounds right because he's got a piece for it. Yeah.
From what I remember, because I haven't really fiddled with it for a long time, it's just kind of a bit on the floppy side. And it's not as satisfying transformation as it just looks like he has a big neck piece because the arms kind of pegged down on the side of the body and he's got this big swivel just under his neck. So it looks a bit awkward and wonky. Articulation wise, he's not too bad. I think he looks fine. It's just not a fun transformation. An okay look, and just not as good as the Megatron that's later down in the same line. This was the crap one for your kid rather than anything else.
And actually, that's a good way of looking at it. These two figures, because they were very gimmick-based, they were in a very specific set with, I think it was like a greatest hits DVD, effectively.
You're probably right.
With bits from across the franchise, just to give people a bit of a taste. And I think he did both toys a disservice because without those figures, those action features, I should say, there's a lot of interesting stuff with both of them, but it's all the action features that hinder them, and then they end up real floppy. And
I don't think they would have been amazing without them, but they would have been like more standard, and I think they would have been just more enjoyable if there's less guff flopping them around, dragging them down. Absolutely, it would have been a bit better because there's the Prime as well. The Optimus Prime I would describe as the Robot Master version, just made out of drippier material. He looks like the head design's very, very, very soft. Not quite sure what they were doing with the head design. And the vehicle mode is very much the Robot Masters figure, but somehow not as good. And that's saying something, because Robot Masters Optimus Prime, G1 Optimus Prime, wasn't a great figure either, but it looked a bit more cohesive than this.
I mean, I've always liked the gun this one came with.
Yes,
and
the machine gun, because it kind of transforms as well, which is
and I like
quite nice.
I think it's cute that it can actually be set up on its back as a little turret. Which is not always common for Primes to do, but at least his spin gimmick in the torso, it's not visually intrusive. It's like Megatron's is. It just is more restricted in terms of the action features of the articulation.
It just spins him around, doesn't it? It doesn't actually do anything for the transformation. His torso just rotates around for some reason.
He just like you do like a tornado punch with him.
Yeah, it's a He-Man Masters of the Universe action gimmick for no real reason, because Transformers usually don't have those kind of gimmicks, as far as I can remember. Not really, anyway.
With good reason, because they get into the way of these really complicated transformations.
Yeah. I wonder which came first. I wonder if this came first or if it was the Robot Master one that came first, because they are so similar. Something else to note, look how thin his hands are. Yeah. Those peg holes have like eaten up most of the plastic of his hand. I wonder, I mean, I don't know if I still have mine. I wonder how like fragile those are. Are they fragile? They might not be.
I never really thought of them as fragile, but then I never really messed around much with my one.
No.
Which is,
again, there was a better Optimus Prime coming.
Yeah.
A much better one. Yeah, this is just like, if you want, at the time period, I suppose, for like 2006, if you wanted a proper Optimus, because this one looks more like G1 Optimus Prime than the Classics one. So if you wanted yours to look more like the one that you know, this is, I guess, better for that.
Yeah, I mean, this is pure unadulterated G1 right there.
With a minor tweaks, like with the knee pads and extra detail in the shoulder pads. The asymmetrical shoulder pads, which I didn't notice until just now. Huh,
you know what the most damning thing, though, about this Prime is?
His head? His spin gimmick?
No.
His bad alt mode?
The Unicron truly gave us two better deluxe class articulated Optimus Prime figures.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, no doubt. It's really sad that his head's just kind of he's in truck mode. He's doing what a 4-year-old does when they're playing hide and seek and they can't find anywhere to hide. They just kind of tuck up like a little turtle. Like that's good enough. It's good enough. So these, unfortunately, I wouldn't say are very good. They're very skippable. I don't think they were ever used again mold wise.
They had Hasbro Toy Shop Special Edition. So Meg's got done in silver and grey, and Prime was just another Prime. I can't really tell much different to him, to be honest.
Yeah, and then there was a Henkei version and a United Optimus Prime.
Oh, that's right. They did the see-through version for the Sons of Cybertron, didn't they?
Yeah, which is like nothing desperately interesting repaint wise for them, so that's fine. I don't know why, but in my mind I barely count these as part of the classics line, and I don't know whether this just because I don't like them and I'm biased towards them, or if it's just another reason that I can't think of. I don't know.
I mean, I'm kind of with you. I don't really factor them in when I'm thinking about the line, to be honest. Yeah. I'm always surprised when they did do the re-releases for both, because Takara did them for United in 2010 as well as separate releases, and I'd forgotten that they existed.
Well, to be fair, it's not a huge surprise. It's weird that in this Prime, I've just noticed again in the center of Prime's head, he's got like 2 holes above his eyes for some reason in his forehead, and then on his little crest thing, he's got like the star symbol that you'd get on like the center of Gundam.
That is interesting.
I don't know what that's meant to reference, if anything, or if it's just like the most surprising thing is the 2 holes above his eyes. I don't know why they exist.
Yeah, I mean, they do look like Gundam Seawiz systems, don't they?
Yeah. Like, are they meant to be like machine guns in top of his head?
I think they might be.
That's weird. How does he reload them? Does he have like ports in the back of his head to put bullets into?
No one's ever asked how they reload the guns mounted in the heads of any robot in the past, mate.
That's true.
They have machine guns.
Yeah, to be fair, with a Gundam, I give it a bit more leeway because it's a machine rather than a thinking mechanical organism, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, Transformers and ammunition is always a bit of a... Do they shoot bullets?
Well, I remember when I think it was Chris McFeely said that the movie versions were firing their fingernails, basically. Yeah, and I thought that was the dumbest shit ever. So stupid.
Yeah.
Right, so we're going to start off the actual, what we class as the actual classics line with the one that's probably the most used and technically has been used pretty much up till today-ish, in a sense.
Yeah, that's not unfair.
It's probably the most used transformation out of any Transformers figure, I would say. And it is the 2006 Starscream figure, who for the time, for 2006, was really good. For a Starscream, fantastic. There was a reason why they kept using it.
Absolutely. This was a real game changer, because...
Couldn't believe it. I couldn't... Yeah. Like, when I got this, like, you know, both you and I had G1 Starscream or a Seeker, and it's shit. You know, you understand why it's shit, because you look at it and you're like, how do you make it work? And then someone came along from Japan and said, this is how you make it work. You go, oh, yeah. The arms just store inside the plane mode. Is the plane mode a little bit chunky? Yeah, it's a little bit chunky, but it's a deluxe class. It still looks fairly streamlined.
It's not a 1-to-1 F-15, but
no, it's a stylized one, right?
It's a stylized one that looks cracking.
Yeah, it's good enough that you go, yeah, this looks close enough to Starscream's jet mode. His paint apps are all over the place for whatever reason, but it's not a bad paint scheme. It's not what you're used to seeing on Starscream, and he's more orangey than he is red, but it's okay. My only real issue with the figure was I didn't like the gray plastic they used specifically on the face, because the details are completely lost. It's a very soft sculpt, and I think every version of him had like not very good painting around the cheekbone bits, like they were never painted on the inside.
It's a bit of an awkward spot to get into, I think. But I mean,
you know.
I mean, as far as the colours go, I mean, because he was the first wave of classics that kind of set out the mission statement, which was all about. It wasn't about recreating one-for-one G1. It was about taking the spirit of G1, taking those iconic silhouettes, and giving it a rub, give it a remix, give it a polish, give it a bit of 21st century flair and engineering. So for this one, I mean, yeah, we've had almost every sequel that came afterwards was much more accurate to whatever models came before.
Yeah.
Starscream had another one. Skywalker and Thundercracker were both pretty much one-for-one their G1 decos, or what people thought of their G1 decos. Whereas this first Screamer, I say he's in a grey plastic. He's a more orangey red. It's not a one-for-one match to his original deco, because you can tell the wing decoration is a lot different. It was all about kind of giving you that sense that, yeah, this is Starscream, but a little bit different. Just giving a little bit of a tweak.
And you did mention giving it the rub, and that's something we didn't mention. That's something that they brought back for the first time in decades. They brought back the rub symbols, on them, which was quite, it's classic. So you get the rub symbols, and you go, oh, that's nice, that's cute.
Yeah, it was. It was adorable.
Yeah. Starscream even had like a little detailed cockpit in translucent yellow plastic. Note that the yellow plastic is not on any essential like pin joints, Hasbro. Do you notice that? It's pretty important. I'm thinking of like minor things, and I guess for the time period, the only minor thing I had an issue with was the nose cone. It has that big like gray peg that kind of sticks into the back of Starscream's head and limits his articulation. It's not a huge issue, obviously, because that's just how you have to work it. And it also translates into the jet mode having this big black area where it's clearly the Starscream's head that doesn't mold into the rest of the jet. It's a very minor issue. He's even got like firing missiles, the spring-loaded. That's cute. And his wheel, like his nipples on his wind turbine nipples, you flip them down and they're wheels for the jet. What a smart idea. Great figure. And then they just never stopped reusing this mold.
No, they didn't.
So,
they kept, we had what, 20 odd repaints?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19,
Christ,
20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. About 31.
Bloody hell.
That's including every version, including just like standard Henkei re-releases and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's not including the Earthrise ones, which are essentially the same figure, just bigger.
Yeah.
So, go on.
They got a hell of a lot of mileage out of it, didn't they?
Yeah, a little bit too much.
But it was a good redesign. That's the kicker. It was a good update, and it did some really.
I agree with you to a point. To a point. When you start going down the list, and it's 2015, and this mold came out in 2006. It's like, no, we have passed the point. I can even let the unofficial like BotCon ones go in 2011. That's okay. It's a bit lazy that they kept doing it, but that's fine. It's a convention, whatever. They're not official releases. When the official releases continued, that's where it became a little more frustrating.
I wouldn't have been so mildly irked by the 2015 release if we hadn't had, like you just counted, 30 other releases of the mold prior to that. If it had been used a bit more sparingly.
Yeah,
but it's
exactly.
It's the Seeker mold. That's pretty much what it's there for. It's to give you Starscream, his mates, the three dorks, and then a crap load of reprints.
A crap ton. And sometimes just re-releases of the characters, because we'll go through them. So there was also Classic Skywarp, who was part of a 2-pack with Ultra Magnus, who we'll talk about later. Unlike what you said earlier, this is not a G1 color schemed Skywarp. This is, again, a slightly more stylized. It's, again, very Skywarp. You look at it and you're like, it's black and silver and it's purple. It's Skywarp. But again, like with the Starscream, the decals of the jet mode are in different places. He's less of a purple and more of a
hot pink.
Hot pink, on the edge of purple, like it's hot pink, but kind of going purpley. If that's a good way to describe it,
dark hot pink.
Yes, Yeah, something like that. I think the color scheme's a lot more cohesive on this than Starscream, and that's mainly
absolutely.
because they painted it silver. So, unlike Starscream, who is just a flat gray, and like I mentioned, the details washed out in the face, Skywarp doesn't have that issue because his face is painted, so he's got a nice, lovely silver, crisp paint job. So he looks quite good, to be honest.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Now, the first kind of flummox that Hasbro made was they left the door open for BotCon to make Thundercracker, which was a fucking terrible idea. Because for some reason, who knows why, the fans got annoyed that they couldn't get the 3 Seekers. Who could have thought why?
I mean, I'm so glad Hasbro have learnt their lesson on that score.
It's a little easier to get than a convention exclusive, but just, woof. Thundercracker from BotCon 2007 timelines is a lot more accurate in terms of his color scheme, which is very deliberate. He's still got a rub sign, but he's got the stripes on his wings, and he's got the stripes on his fins as well, rather than the more, I don't know, fancy kind of we'll just do our own design. For Starscream and Skywarp as well. Otherwise, he is the same figure. I think obviously there are people out there who would argue about the blues. Is it the right blue? Is it the right purple? It's like it's close enough for me. I wasn't fussed. I got the box set, but I didn't. Unlike some people, I didn't just get it for Thundercracker. I got it because I wanted Dreadwind. I got it because I thought Bugbite looked cool, and I also got it because I wanted the other 2 cone heads as well, because we'll get to them as well.
Yeah, the thing is, that box was a really good box.
Yes,
but it's also basically it's 2 things about Hasbro.
Well, it wasn't just that; it was Hasbro dropping the ball severely, and BotCon going, "Well, I guess we'll make some money." Yeah, and they did. It was an easy sell. And on the secondary market, this was a rough set to get. Like I say, we'll get to the other ones from this timeline because you woof. So Universe, who I think we can talk. I didn't add this one to the Universe stuff because we talk about it now. Acid Storm. Why?
Yeah.
You did.
That was weird.
Why Acid Storm? Because this was this our first Acid Storm? I think it was.
Yeah, the first official one, yeah.
Unless it was a stupid name for a minicon or something. Which
I don't think it was.
Yeah, who knows? For like just throwing it out there and going, fuck it, let's reuse the mold again. It came out quite well. There are some issues with it. And it's primarily the incomprehensible, like, what kind of blue is that? It's like it's a Fenrisian gray, right? Uniform gray, and it's on the nose cone, and it's on the hinge joints for the back of the arms for them to swing out. There was no need. There's no need, and it kind of ruins the color scheme for some reason. They decided to do that. Absolutely baffling. You can't really. You can see it a little bit in robot mode because his thighs are that color, and then bits around his nose cone. That's fine. I don't mind that just to break up the color. But when it's on the jet mode and it's just the nose cone and it's just like 4 hinges on the centerpiece, it looks really weird. Otherwise, I think this is a good looking redo. I'd like him to be a bit poppy, I suppose, with his green.
Yeah.
Well, what did you think of Acid Storm? Because I never got him.
I never got to get him either. I always regretted not picking him up because
I didn't regret it.
Well, it was just because I quite liked how he was. They made him a very distinctly different looking character to the rest of the Seekers. He just stood out quite nicely. I mean, I have a version of him now, but not this mold, but one of the Siege Tetrajets instead.
Okay.
But for the time,
is that that's the really bright lime green one, isn't it? That came in the 3-pack. Yeah. I actually wish this one was more that color scheme, but I like the fact that this one has the camo on it because this was obviously the first one. Nice. The camo makes it a bit more interesting than just being green.
Yeah, he's not just a green Seeker. He's got that camo, makes him a little different.
Yeah.
The yellow's a nice contrast to the greens. I get what you mean about that Fenrisian grey. That is a weird choice of colour.
Makes no sense. It's the placement too.
It's a slightly drab color, which kind of goes with the drab green they'd gone with. So I kind of get it, but I think that it could have been a poppier figure overall. But when it came out in the Universe lineup, it was kind of a slightly more drab phase of their paint jobs. So
yeah,
I get it.
Placement as well, I think, is my main issue with it. It's just weird placement on it. Not for the robot, but for the jet.
Yeah, it's just so weird, though, that it took us another 3 years to get an official Western release of Thundercracker.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a reason why people were annoyed.
Yeah, well, it's the lucky Japanese. They got all 3 for free.
Yeah, I mean, don't get us wrong. The Henkei series it was pretty popular because if you wanted G1 Starscream, this was the G1E Starscream, and he was he wasn't in the same gray. He was in a similar-ish gray plastic to the original one, but it was brighter, so it looked a bit more accurate again to the original version. He had more paint apps. He had chrome on him. He had a dark silver paint job around his face, so again, his face was a lot better looking. He had the right stripes on his wings as well. The sides of his head were painted, so in jet mode, it was a lot better hidden. He had no rub sign, but he did have 3 Decepticon insignias. This was a much better looking Starscream, a much handsomer Starscream. Clearly, a lot more money was put behind it. I thought this was clearly a big upgrade from the previous one. I don't think we have images of we don't have images of the Henkei Thundercracker and Skywarp. But they again were similar to Starscream. They were nicer.
Yeah.
They were. If you had the original 2, like I did, I wasn't fussed. But you know, the Skywarp especially was way closer to what G1 Skywarp was as Starscream was, and I think Thundercracker was close enough to the Bokon Timelines one. It just had the chrome on it, and I think the blue was a bit different on it as well.
I mean, this was when Henkei really came out of the gates and established itself as being set its market out as what made it different to the
It was the
Western
premium version. Do you want the kids version, or do you want the premium paint job? At least for their own market, because if you wanted to import, like 2008 wasn't. I don't think HLJ was an English site at that point.
No, they did exist because I ordered from HLJ at that point.
Did you? Oh, right. Okay.
I have Gundam kits I've ordered at that point, and I got my Henkei Optimus Prime off.
Oh my god! See, I hadn't heard of them at that point. I do remember at one point being on Ami Ami and it not being an English site at that point. Do you remember where it was completely Japanese?
Yeah.
That was a fun time. So we had those ones. Then we had the Universe 2.0, which was like a year later version of Starscream, which is Hasbro's attempt, I think, at making the G1 the Henki killer, and it's just not as good.
Well, the Henkei was much more true to what people remembered Starscream being, and from like more close to the animation, whereas the Universe version was much more the toy. So
I thought it was more the comic. I was sorry, it's more of a comic-y version. Maybe not the Marvel comics, but like when I think of the Ladybird books,
because he had that like orange tone to the reds, which was much more,
and a very dark, very dark blue, which again comic-y kind of color. The benefit of this version was he had gray paint on his face, so again, a much better head than the American version. And they also painted the sides of his head, so his head was much more... his head was hidden in the jet mode a lot better. So again, if you hadn't got the Henkei version, this was better than the original version, but not as good as the Henkei version, I would say, unless you were just trying to get like a comic version and the cartoon version.
Henkei it was a lot easier to get hold of, though. So.
Yeah. Henkei decided to do Ghost Starscream, so it's translucent, so, you know.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
I hope no one who has one has tried to transform it recently, because that could be exciting for you.
That's an interesting way to phrase it. Exciting. In 2011, which was the next seeming release of the Starscream specific mold, not the transformation scheme, but the Starscream mold.
Yeah.
As Big D mentioned, we got Thundercracker, who was not in a G1 color scheme, mostly. It kind of was. Like the jet mode definitely is a G1 color scheme. The robot mode, not so much, I would say. I think the Henkei version looked better than this. We don't have the picture of the Henkei version on hand, but it looked better than this. This one seems slightly strange to me.
I mean, this was really Hasbro just kind of rounding out the roster, to be fair, more than anything.
Trying to play a bit of catch-up.
I think they released this more because they kind of, if they didn't, they're probably going to get lynched by some of the fans.
It's just again, 2011. It's a long time.
5 years after Starscream came out.
Yeah. 4 years after the BotCon one came out.
Yeah. I mean, even given how the brand was probably, I mean, Generations at that point, this was when Generations started to kind of contract a little bit as well. It was getting towards that point where they were going way deeper into repaints, less original stuff, and smaller budgets.
Yeah. So
this was probably the easiest repaint they could possibly do.
That's guaranteed money, mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. 2011, 2013, we had 2 more BotCon figures. One which I'm sad I didn't get. It's the Action Master Thundercracker. So he is amazingly colored. I don't know. Is there ever been a story of how how Action Master Thundercracker's color scheme happened?
I'm assuming this was just because it was the late 80s and 90s, and someone at Hasbro did a lot of cocaine.
I'd like to know, like, who thought this, who greenlit it as well? Because I love it, but it is it's a very eclectic kind of tasting figure. I think, not a lot. Like, if I showed this to a young 18-year-old who was just getting into the fandom and didn't know anything about this, I don't think they'd like it. You know, they'd go, "What the fuck is this shit? It's a KO, isn't it?" And no, this is real. This is real. Well, I mean, this one specifically is obviously a BotCon one, but you know what I mean. You understand me.
I mean, you could get much nicer looking KOs around the same time as this, which is worrying. They did recreate the color scheme perfectly, you know, for what it's worth. I will say it's a shame that they didn't paint the sides of the head purple, so it would again match up with the jet mode, but with all the colors everywhere on it, it's fucking whatever, right? Who cares? Yeah.
It's not about being a cohesive, subtle jet mode. It's clearly not that.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
I mean, look at it.
Yeah.
If you come to this toy for cohesiveness, why?
It reminds me a little bit of, what's that Batman that's like, he's got like the purple...
The Batman of Zur-En-Arrh.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of that. Is it meant to be like a nod to that? I don't think it is, but in my mind, it might be.
I mean, that is actually a really funny way of thinking about it, especially if you lean into the idea, because the way they've done him in the comics in recent years is that he's like Bruce Wayne's backup personality.
Oh.
Yes, he's made a whole backup Batman who's even more insane than the mainline Batman because he thinks he's from another planet. So the idea that maybe Thundercracker's done the same thing, just think, okay, Thundercracker, why have you done this? Because just the idea of Thundercracker of all people has his backup personality. But
someone took away his ability to transform, so he kind of lost his mind. He wanted to find himself as something, so he did this. I'm not just Starscream, see? And he had this?
Some might say he turned himself into a bag of highly sugared sweeties.
I'm not against that, to be fair. Duckman has appeared. Quack, I am the Duckman, and I am here to warn you of great evil coming. He is a man of potato. It's a good warning. I thank you, Duckman, for the warning. Much appreciated. But yes, this was Action Master Thundercracker. And then we had, as I mentioned, 2013, we have Bitstream and Hotlink, who
and Sunstorm.
Oh yeah, and Sunstorm, yeah. So we'll talk about the two that I don't think anybody cares about, which are I think Bitstream and Hotlink were meant to just be like the background characters that they had in like season 1. Especially Hotlink. I'm not sure about Bitstream.
Because I think the Bitstream color scheme tended to appear on Cybertron with some of Shockwave's Tetrajet goons.
Is that what it was? Okay.
That purple was much more the Terran Goon Squad. I'd actually forgotten that this is where Hotlink kind of first showed up as a name, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't think they use too much. And I think it's because generally the color scheme is just baby blue, which is arguably Thundercracker's color anyway. And Hotlink is kind of a lavender, which is more, Cyclonus-y kind of colors.
Yeah.
It's like, there's not much to say. And more importantly, Sunstorm. And so if you had Acid Storm, you could add Sunstorm. And I guess you could use Hotlink as the other purple one, right? To make the Rainmakers?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Was the other one Hotlink?
I think so.
It's something like that. Sunstorm's a bit more interesting.
They're kind of interchangeable. For the more recent set, they went with yellow, blue, and green.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at these three compared to Action Master Thundercracker, there's a big step down in the amount of paint apps. Like, it's a shame because Sunstorm could have done with more of a glow up to make him stand next to like the Henkei stuff, which would have been nice, but clearly it's not feasible for them to have done that. So what can you do? There was United Seekers, Aces, Starscream, Skywarp, and Thundercracker, which I imagine, don't quote me on this, I imagine are Japanese re-releases.
Yeah, I think that was a bit. I think that was a big gift set they did. So a 3-figure box set. Because do you remember how they did? Right? Yeah, because they did a similar set of a trio of Autobots. So it was, I think, Cup. God, I know Cup was in there. I can't remember who else, but they did a trilogy of Autobots in a similar box who had kind of premium paint jobs and
all that.
It's just one of those gift sets that Takara are quite fond of doing from time to time with figures that are a little out of production. So,
well, after that, in 2015, Collectors Club version of G2 Starscream. So he's sadly enough kind of badly painted on the face, and I don't know if that's done deliberately or if that's just a mistake because his cheeks aren't filled in.
I mean, some of those Collectors Club sub figures they were not always given the best treatment paint-wise.
That's why I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's meant to be a reference to how the original one may or may not have been painted, or if it was just them kind of being lazy. Either way, it is a recreation of the G2 Starscream color scheme, so it's fairly nice. They haven't painted the side of the head again, so his head in jet mode is very visible, but they got the camo on the wings only, and the white center torso, the G2 symbol, and then TAC on the wing. What's that mean, Big D? You know things. If you don't, that's fine.
Tactical Air Command.
Is that a guess, or do you know that?
I think that's what it means, but it is a bit of a guess. Yeah,
it's a logical guess, to be fair, but it's a guess. So I say that just in case somebody goes, actually, that's not what it means, Big D. So you're saying it's a guess. So that's okay. It's okay if he's wrong.
It's a guess inspired by 30-odd years of following far too many militaries and
again, it makes sense, but it might not be true. What do you think of this one? Do you like it?
It's interesting.
Yeah, you can tell
I'm not sure I like it, though. Yeah, I remember when this was announced, it was met with a resounding meh.
It's 2015, making you mold, fuckers. Jesus Christ. It's nearly 10 years old.
I mean, it gets a slight pass because it's for Collectors Club, but it is... I
know. It's 10 years old. It's 9 years old. No, it doesn't get a fucking pass in my book. You can go suck a sausage. Get out of here. And we're not going to talk about the Coneheads here. We're going to talk about them when we talk about Ramjet. And the very last one is Nacelle, who is a completely made-up character. And everyone, I remember, was super much like, what the fuck? Is it not over yet? Why are we still doing this? Which is kind of a shame because Nacelle is kind of interesting. It's using the thrust version, so it's got the thrust wings. But then he's got this quite cool color scheme of like blue, red, and white. And I don't hate the color scheme. It's just... And
he's not a Conehead He's not a Conehead either. He's actually using a normal Seeker head.
Yeah, so he's got the Conehead body, or accessories, let's call them. And then, like you say, a Starscream head. It's okay. It could have been. Yeah. It might have been nice if it wasn't Starscream's head. If they'd like given him a visor or a faceplate.
Yeah.
Just to mix it up.
Something a bit different, but
it's color scheme's good. I like it.
He's at least interesting.
visually. It's just,
But
it came out at the point where people were like fucking done with it at this point.
Yeah.
Done. Sorry, what were you going to say you liked about this one?
I just always kind of liked how it was quite a nice, bright, poppy color scheme that was more or less cohesive. So
I'm shocked that they didn't put this under like shaded glass. I don't know if shaded glass was a thing at that point, but this looks like a shaded glass kind of thing.
That does seem kind of crazy that they didn't do that.
Like this could have been like shaded glass, Skywarp, I don't know, maybe thrust, maybe just shaded glass thrust. Either way, that's all of the Starscream versions of this mold. Before we get into the Conehead versions, was a very good mold. Overstayed its welcome massively.
Yeah.
And the transformation, as mentioned, has been used in, effectively, it's just a scaled up version for the Earthrise one, and then that one's had a plethora of repaints as well. So you could argue it's still going on to this date, but for a transformation to be used that consistently for that long is pretty impressive. Not even Smoke Jumper got to be used that much. It was used in large, like, different eras. Like in the early 90s, in the 2000s, and then in the later 2000s for the movie stuff, but not as consistent as this one. So
I mean, the only one that's come close to it now is the Siege Sideswipe, and that's only just hit double digits, I think.
Yeah, so we haven't hit 30 yet, which this one had.
I'm sure if we give them time, it'll get there. But
we may as well talk about Ramjet, since we need to talk about a new mold. So what was different about this one? Well, he had a new head, so the nose cone wasn't on the hinge of his back of his head. You just spun it around, which made it have technically more head articulation. And then the wings kind of detached from nubs on the back. And then the bottom of the wings were different, and that was about the missiles in the missile launcher was different as well. This was not a accurate ramjet either, obviously, because this was early classics. It had a more fancy paint job on his back for the jet mode. He was more of a cream color as well than a pure white. And I think this was again like diverting from the Starscream mold. It wasn't a repaint. It was just like we'll change the head and a few other bits, and it made it feel like it was a new thing, which was quite nice about it.
And it did well. I mean, it got him his own spotlight issue from IDW, which was
true. Mikey's favorite.
It's a very funny issue, to be fair.
Then 2007 came around, and they went, "Hey, go fuck yourself. Here's Dirge for Bokon only." Woo.
Yeah.
And it's it's good. It is just a simple repaint.
I've heard it's good.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was good. I mean,
for its time.
Now. Yeah, I had it. Like I said, it was part of the set that I wanted most of the set, so I was quite happy with it. It has more of a bit more of an accurate color scheme, or of attempt of it, because they didn't cast the wings in brown. They just kind of painted bits brown and then had a black outline, which I thought was again quite nice. The robot mode again quite nice. His face being black means that a lot of the detail is lost just because of black absorbing light and all that jazz. But yeah, it's not bad. Henke did a Henke Ramjet, so Ramjet, but what if nicer? Oddly enough, I was going to say there's no chrome. I'm stupid. I'm not looking at the images. Yeah, there was chrome. There was just on the bottom of his engines rather than around his gun. And then it was just a much more G1 accurate color scheme, which, again, looked quite nice, I would say, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
The Collectors Club did G2 Ramjet, so he is very much the G2 color scheme, which I like. It is a fun color scheme. I always thought it was a smelly thing that they didn't make a small plastic box that looked like a sound box for him. I think they should have done that. I don't expect it to have worked, but a little box that was sculpted to look like a sound box would have been nice. There's also the Elite Seekers Ramjet, which I think is like what you said before, Big D. Was
it's another free pack, but just for Coneheads this time.
Yeah, 2007 we got in the convention set, we got Thrust, which has, as mentioned for the nacelle, the new engine pieces, and that was pretty much about it, and the rear wings, and then obviously it's just the new color scheme. And then there was the Gentai Dirge, which I guess was Henke, but a year later?
I think so, yeah.
I think so. We don't have images of it, but I'm pretty sure Japan had like their own version, because why wouldn't they? Then Generations for 2010, we had a Thrust. Oddly enough, this one has a bit more of an accurate paint job on it, because it has it does, right? Because Thrust's head wasn't black, right? In the cartoon.
Yeah, that's always been how I remembered it.
Yeah, well, it has been black, or it hasn't been black.
But it hasn't been black.
Yeah, so you could argue that the one that came out for Hasbro was arguable that it was more accurate. Interesting thing as well, which I didn't know, you could take the little thrusters off the front of the jet and put it onto the back wings.
Yeah,
to make it more accurate again to the show, I assume, which was kind of interesting. It gives it a bit more of a different look from the Bokon thrust, because he has longer, thinner wings for the robot mode for the silhouette, and then you put the engines on the bottom to make them a bit fatter, compared to the Bokon version, which has the big fat wings and then the skinny wings for his legs. So yeah, it's different enough, I suppose.
Yeah, I have all 6 of the core seekers on one of my shelves still, because they look nice together,
Oh yeah. Then there was the Night Seekers Elite Thrust, so again, NK version. Generations Dirge, so again, it's the Bokon. Well, it's not the Bokon version, because it's got a painted grey face, so again, I'd argue it's a bit more accurate. Its color scheme on the robot, I don't know. It's a bit strange, but it does have new wings to, again, make it way more accurate to how he should be, compared to the Bokon version.
He's got the canards, which is nice.
The what?
The forward little wings at the front, they're called canards.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so if you wanted your more accurate version, this was the one to get. And, I'm sure people who had the Bokon one were angry. I didn't care. I had a Dirge. I didn't need to buy another Dirge. And then Elite Seekers also did their version of Dirge as well. Yeah. So, again, a lot of Seekers. And
many Seekers.
And I guess Earthrise as well. So, yeah, cool. It was a very good mold, as I said. There's not much more to say, because we said all for Starscream, I think, right?
Yeah, the only things, like they say, Earthrise upscaled it, gave it more articulation.
That was about it.
Yeah.
Not a huge amount more articulation either, just a little bit. Just kind of weird. So Bumblebee now, who was classed as a deluxe figure, but was smaller, but he came with a cool little accessory. He came with a... Cool. Oh, what do you even call that?
It's a jet ski.
Jet ski, thank you. Jet ski on a trailer, because you couldn't remove them. They were stuck together. So Bumblebee was a bit more of a beach sports car, right?
Yeah, he's like a mini clubman.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I'll believe you, because I don't know what that is.
With a body kit. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that means. And he turned into a nice newer version of Bumblebee. He had a little bit of a backpack, which was okay, and his hood of his car kind of was almost like a shirt that's too big for your girlfriend and kind of goes down below her crotch. That's not unfair to say, right?
No, that's fair.
Yeah,
but he looks great. One of those year one book figures. Again, I'll bang about this. Year 1 and year 2 of Classic for me was the sweet spot, because it was giving us nice, modernized designs. And not just in terms of the engineering of the articulation, but modernized alt modes.
What do you notice about the face that I really like, Big D?
Is it the cheeky little smirk he's got?
Yes, he's got an expression where Hasbro went, you know what? Expressions, they can be had by characters. It looks quite good, It's like you say, it's not an aggressive smile. It's not a crazy smile. It's just a little, like you say, a little smirk, just to add something to him. The transformation was, again, really nice and quick and solid. You didn't feel like you were getting cheated. Nothing crazy in terms of what it did, and in terms of how it looked, it looked okay. And his little jet ski thing could become a
jetpack.
Yeah, jetpack, homage to Action Masters.
That's how I've always looked at it.
I kind of looked at it as jetpack, or like a glider, sonic gun, wind gun thing. I don't know. That's how I was kind of looked at it. It wasn't anything desperately special, but instead of having a gun, he had this thing which just kind of clipped nicely into his back, and it's like, it's all right. It's not too bad. He did get used a couple more times than you would expect. He got done in BotCon 2007 as Bug Bite, which was a really cool version of him. The first Bug Bite Transformers figure?
I think so, yeah.
One of the better ones as well, because he had a lot of... Like, he was done in this pearlescent white color, and then had translucent purple on him, and then had a load of these cool tribal
yeah, that was a really nice scheme they used for Bug Bite.
Yeah, a lot of decals, not small ones either. They covered a lot of the figure. I can't remember if the hood was all translucent plastic or if it was just the window screen that was translucent plastic. Do you remember?
I think it was just for window screen.
See, Hasbro was doing it right.
Yeah, because the hood, you can see it's actually forms his
with the
lower legs.
Yeah. It's more like the top of the car I meant. Is that translucent plastic painted?
Oh, yeah, that's all translucent plastic. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant just... When you said the windows, I thought you meant
no,
windows. No. Okay, that's fine. Bug Bite also came with the jet ski, just in a different color scheme, but this was a really cool version. Classics, in a year later, did the Cliff Jumper version. Again, a kind of weirdly painted one, because it almost looked like Cliff Jumper was like flaking paint. He wasn't, but that's how my mind always interpreted
they're trying to give like a flame effect, which...
With silver, though. Which is not...
Yeah.
And it didn't... To me, I can see you say flame. I'm like, that makes sense. Logically, it makes sense. But to me, it always came across of he's flaking.
Yeah.
He looks very much like the oven pan I have. Where a lot of the black paint's coming out and the silver's just underneath.
Yeah.
You know? It's not. Don't get me wrong. It's not a condemnation. It's just a weird look, and it's something I couldn't ever get rid of from my mind. Unfortunately.
No, that's fair. I will say the things, because this is because it was just a straight repaint of B. There was nothing different to Cliff.
No.
Compared to B. This was got one of the first figures to kind of really give the third party mod scene a bit of a kick in the ass. Because I mean, you had the devil horns?
Oh, set? I forgot about that. Yeah.
It gave him the new head. Gave him the giant blaster, a smaller one, and a rims kit for the
for the wheels,
for the bumpers.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
At least I forgot. I mean, we'll be talking about third-party kits when we get to City Commander. Magnus, obviously, because that's the thing.
Oh yeah,
to kick off third-party shit.
That's the big one. But
yeah.
This I remember was one of the first kind of like when I. This is when I first started hearing about third-party upgrade kits starting to trickle into mainstream availability and not being a chore to apply to a figure.
Yeah, I get you.
So, very interesting one, Cliff. I mean, I still have Cliff and B in my collection still.
The original classics ones, you mean?
Yeah.
I think I do as well. Maybe not Cliff. I don't think Cliff Jumper, but B, I definitely do.
Yeah, Cliff took me a while longer to find, but they both hold...
interesting.
I'm quite fond of both of them. So
they're still pretty fun figures, to be honest.
They are,
at least the mold. Next up, we have the Henke version of Bumblebee, which is just yellow with, for some reason, chrome on his kneecaps. Yeah,
they just went full G1 with the paint scheme for him,
which is fair. It's just a bit more boring, I suppose. You know, I'm not saying the white really added a huge amount more to the design, but it adds a little bit. So
then we got the old Walmart Classics came in. That was a triple pack, wasn't it? Because it came with Movie B, this one.
Oh, here it goes. It says Premium Bumblebee, which was the big Bumblebee figure. What class was this? It's like is it deluxe? I don't know. It was the premium one, so it was the fancy one. Also came with animated Bumblebee was the other one. So
that was it, yeah.
What a weird set. What a strange set of
it was a real weird one, to be fair.
Just, you want Bumblebees? I guess. So this one is, I guess...
Oh, that was movie 1B, yeah.
Yeah. This is a stylized, kind of still classic-y, but instead of like white decals, he has a few black racing stripes up the center of him, and then on the back of him, he has some more black on him. It's quite an interesting color scheme.
It was a big movie tie-in set they did, I remember that. So
it's weird that on his chest, it looks like his his hood has eyebrows because of the black lines going up it.
It does. That is quite funny.
Bit odd. It's not again not a bad color scheme, just
not at all.
It's odd. And then Reveal the Shield decided to pump him out again. Was he in a special set for this?
No, just Reveal the Shield. Gave him a bit more of an orange tone to the paint scheme.
And then the Camaro Bumblebee stripes for some reason. I don't know why they wanted to make him look more like the movie Bumblebee, but I guess they wanted to pull him out one more time, and they did.
Yeah.
No, so only 6 uses of the mold compared to Starscream. That's better.
You know what? I'm genuinely surprised they didn't trot him back out in the Collector's Club as Bug Bite.
Or Glyph.
Not Bug Bite. Glyph or Wasp. That was what I meant.
They could have done. Bug Bite. They could have done that. They could have done Hubcap. They could have done Goldbug if they wanted to. I think this would have actually been a pretty good Goldbug mold.
I mean, Takara did end up doing. They did a gold version of him that had. That got plenty of upgrade kits to turn him into Goldbug.
Ah, okay.
Much like
remember, if it's not on here, that's not our fault. If it's not on TFU, it's not our fault. Just to let you know. Just throwing it out there. Yeah, the Bumblebee mold, solid figure, quite fun. Obviously not the best of the line, but one of the better ones, I would say.
Yeah, for me, it's one of the ones that kind of epitomizes the mission statement of classics.
I could see that. Next up, we have Astro Train, who I don't know, is he liked or disliked? Because I think for like this is unfortunately like the one of the few and only deluxe triple changes, and I think after this they went, we need to kind of maybe up them in terms of how big they are, and I think still Astro Train does a pretty good job at the scale he's at.
I mean, here was the first time they'd done a triple changer at deluxe scale.
Yeah.
Octane was the second, and then they just stopped.
Yeah, Octane was a mistake. Astro Train's a lot better than Octane.
Yeah, Astro Train can be a bit... I see people's opinions vacillating back and forth over him.
Oh, really?
I'm kind of fond for him, but I know that the community, I've seen it go around in circles.
What do they usually say?
Generally, I think he is liked, but from time to time, it kind of cycles around to dislike and like. Most people tend to agree that they prefer the Takara repainting of the animation, more accurate colors.
For those that don't know, the color scheme for this is way more accurate to the toy, which is your white, your black, and your purple, which is not nearly as good as your grey.
I only ever really knew him from the toy in the comics where he was white, so I have this version. I was quite happy with that. But I know a lot of folks.
I knew him from the cartoon, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Because I had a G1 version. I was like, "What?
Exactly.
What the fuck?"
Yeah. I mean, I quite like Astro Train because I mean, the bullet train is nice. It looks.
It's really good. Right. I think the bullet train's. I mean, it's not perfect, but I think it was probably way easier for them to do a bullet train than it was to do a steam train.
Yeah, and honestly, that space shuttle is a lot better than it has any right to be.
I think both modes are that. I think both modes suffer. Like, if you look at the front half of Astro Train in train mode, bullet train mode, it's good. It's the back half where it's clearly the wings folded down. It gets a bit like, and it's kind of the same for the shuttle. Like, the front half of the shuttle is good, and then it has 2 bits of train on the side of him, and you go, Like, he's pretty much like, that's both of his almost. They're both like, they're almost there, but they're just slightly off.
He's one of those things where you just think, gosh, imagine if he'd been a size class bigger.
Yeah.
What could they have done with him?
Well, they did Titan Masters Astro Train, and he was a bit on the weird side as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
He had those huge, stiletto feet, and he turned in, he spread his legs to become a train, which was an interesting idea. We'll get to that in the future. It's a weird one, though.
That one is very weird.
He is, yeah. But I like the robot mode. I think the robot mode is really good.
Robot mode is nice.
And the head sculpt's great. Obviously, he has no expression, but I think the robot mode is really nice on him. He did get really only one of the color scheme? I thought he got more than just the Henkei version. But I guess it's just a Henkei version, which is just... I just think it's better.
I mean, it's the head, if nothing else, is a lot nicer.
It's easier to read, isn't it? Just because of painted and it's surrounded by the purple. So it looks a bit nicer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the vehicle modes are any better or worse. I don't know. Maybe the train's a little bit better.
My personal bias aside, for why I have a fondness for the Hasbro version, I do agree that the Henkai version looks so much nicer.
Yeah, I might say that the shuttle mode for the Hasbro version's better. I think I prefer the shuttle mode for the Hasbro version, but I like the train mode for the Henkai version.
Yeah, I mean, the Hasbro version, it looks more like a shuttle. It looks more like it's disguised as a NASA space shuttle. So it's got the white, the black, and oddly, the bits of the train do kind of manage to. You can almost read them as being part of the livery of the shuttle livery that
I would describe it as they blend in better, not well, but they blend in somehow better. You
can almost see them as being like boosters that they've attached to the side for a special.
I think it's because they've just got more. I think for me, it's because they have more white on them. And it kind of just helps them blend a little more, maybe. I don't know. Hang on, I'm switching back and forth. Yeah, there's too much purple, I think, on the Henkai version, right at the front of it, so it really kind of separates it from the grey of the shuttle. I think that might be the reason for myself.
I get that, yeah.
But as we say, I think the robot mode is just it's better, you know.
Yeah,
but that's Astral Train.
I agree with that.
A little clunky, but solid and fun, I would say.
Yeah.
Grimlock is a bit more on the disappointing side, but he was fine. He's lower than Bumblebee and he's lower than Astro Train. He goes more into it's an interesting idea, but I don't think we really did a good job here. He is very like his elbow joint it's not really an elbow joint, it's more of a forearm joint.
Yeah. I mean, points for style and concept. Sure. Points deducted for execution.
Yeah.
Mainly for the robot mode. His dinosaur mode, I think, is pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a more stylized kind of T-Rex mode, and it's a little bit on the asymmetrical side, but again, for the deluxe size class, it's okay. His tail's a little bit wank, but it's more poseable than, well, Studio Series Grimlock, so... You know, it's something to be said there. It does make for a bit of an awkward weapon. His normal gun is a little bit of a half-assed version of his actual gun. Well, no, it's not his actual gun. It's a half-assed version of a missile launcher gun and his sword. I think it's just meant to be a sword, but they added a missile gimmick in there as well. Transformation's a little bit on the weird side again because he's got this massive like hinge joint on the front of his chest. Because it kind of unpegs and then swivels round. I like the head sculpt, but again, it just doesn't. I don't think it works super well. Big dinosaur head for feet as well. That's okay. It's lets him balanced and whatnot. But he's always had this thing for me where he just feels kind of weird.
Yeah,
like he's something that's been taken out of the oven a little bit too early. And again, it's probably a size class issue, right? He needs to be bigger for what they want him to do.
I think so, but. This was part of the fun of those first few years where they were just kind of throwing ideas out.
Yeah.
And this was, I mean, the last Grimlock we had was that 2-pack in Energon, which most people tried really hard.
This was way better than that. Way better than that one. That's terrible.
Before that, there was that not very widely known repaint of Dinobot from Beast Wars.
The white one, yeah.
Otherwise, you're going right back to G2 as the last time we had Grimlock in toy form.
Yeah, so this was arguably the best Grimlock we'd had in many decades. Well, not decades, but many years. Many years. So it's not great, but for the time it was at least interesting. You're like, oh, okay, well, that's neat. Got used a couple of times, oddly enough. In Timelines, he got done into Overkill, which we don't have an image of, but there is a Hasbro Toy Shop special edition of Overkill.
I think they're pretty much identical, to be fair.
I think so as well. And it's not bad repaint, and Overkill's really not loved for some reason, even though he's a cool cassette that turns into a T-Rex. And I think they replicated the color scheme from pretty well. I think this makes a better Overkill than it does a Grimlock, since he's never...
I would actually agree with that.
I think this is quite good. Obviously, he still has a forearm joints, but that's okay. There was the Henke Grimlock, which was, I remember what that was. It was just the Grimlock figure mostly, but then the legs were chromed for some reason.
Yes.
Like the outside of the T-Rex's body was chrome.
Lots of chrome on that Grimlock.
It was weird because he was the most aggressive with the chrome compared to any of the other figures.
I think someone at Takara really loved Grimlocks. They wanted him to be really blinged out.
Maybe. It's just so odd.
It was so weird. So over the top.
Yeah, it was way too much. And then the other one, which was his best repaint and unfortunately started, well, maybe not a trend, but this was the Triptychon color schemed version of him, which is, it's shattered glass. So it's like, it's quite nice. It looks quite good.
Yeah. I mean, this was the first shattered glass release. Well, it was part of that first BotCon shattered glass release they did. And honestly, both Triptychon colors work quite nicely.
To be fair, that set was pretty good. It unfortunately set precedence for Hasbro to pinch him and be, I think, a little bit lazy. But I think, I don't think there was a bad looking one in that set. Mostly, they all had pretty interesting color schemes. I just didn't care for the premise. I
mean, I think probably the worst of those was for Starscream. That's just because he was aggressively white.
Yeah, he was just boring sky fire color.
You couldn't see any detail because it was all white.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
Red
I forgot about. I was thinking mostly of the evil Autobots because I think all of them were good. I can't think of a bad one off the top of my head that wasn't like visually interesting.
The only one that irks me was Jazz because it's just Jazz.
Did they not recolor him?
He was. They used the Brigado Veyron dude from Cybertron. But they just did him in normal Jazz colors.
Right. We talked about Auto Vault and he was just like Jazz and it confused me. That's right.
It was just regular Jazz colors.
That's right. It. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, I forgot we talked about that last time and I was like, what the fuck?
and they've kept doing it. No version of Shattered Glass Jazz has looked any different to mainline Jazz. And that annoys me because Jazz
it's lazy. It's so fucking lazy.
Yeah.
At least with BotCon, it kind of made sense, I suppose, because he could go, there wasn't a new Jazz at that point. So it was just like, here's a G1 Jazz. We'll just say it's Shattered Glass Jazz or whatever. There you go.
Yeah.
There's no reason for Hasbro to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we have a big poo boy. Unfortunately, this was a real disappointing one. This was Rodimus. Not Hot Rod, strangely enough, Rodimus. And there are aspects of this figure where you're like, you know,
He's so close. So close.
Kinda. He's got the hip designs that we're kind of seeing way more now in this era of Transformers, oddly enough. That's the famous kind of hip design. The car mode is very cool. I think that's a really good, like, Hot Rod, Rodimus, whatever you want to call it, like, his kind of car mode. That looks good. I'd argue that the paint apps maybe should have been a bit brighter. They're a bit of a dull gold color. Maybe they could have done a bit more pop to them. Apart from that, it's good. It's got an attack mode, which seems stupid. Like, I don't know why this was added, where you flip up the spoiler part as part of the transformation, but you can have his engine, his gun is stored there, and you've got a flame effect part, so it looks like he's boosting along. You can flip it up, and it looks like he's shooting a flame at people.
I mean, I prefer it just like he's got a bit of nitro coming out of the back, to be honest. That's more fun.
Same. The storage is nice. It just feels like this was part of the transformation. Okay, sure, we'll make that have a thing. The problem with the robot mode is he has no outward arm articulation at all, and this was an era where new articulation was coming in, and you were like, oh wow, my robots can move, and this was kind of a backward step. He had kind of ugly elbow syndrome, which was when you bend the arm, he had no elbow because of where the joint was placed.
Yes. And he couldn't really bend his shoulders very far either because they banged into the spoiler because of how high his arms sit. Yeah,
his cockpit, or the canopy, sticks up quite high, like about nearly the top of his head, and that's just behind him. So again, it kind of it helps highlight him a little bit, I suppose, because otherwise there'd just be a big gap there. But if you try and imagine that not there, you can see how wide apart like his shoulder joints are from the rest of his center body, which again looks a bit weird. I think the head sculpt's nice for it. I like that.
Yeah.
He has a nice little gimmick where like his little chainsaw from the movie can come out from below his fist. That's quite
that
nice.
was fun. Yeah.
But generally speaking, he's really disappointing, unfortunately, as a mold.
Was. And
he's got this really sad face.
Yeah, and the shame of it is he was one of the 2 Deluxe class Autobots in that first wave with B.
Yeah. It was him, B, Starscream. That might have been it. I think it was just the 3 figures.
It was those 3. Then you had Megatron and Prime.
Prime, that's right. And then the 2-pack. That was it.
Yeah,
a shitty 2-pack, which no one remembers. But yeah, this one was a bit of a sad boy, I suppose. He was reused for Henke, so he's a bit prettier. He was used for Shattered Glass Rodimus, which was again a very cool looking Rodimus, just on a not very good body, unfortunately. But they did a great job with it.
Absolutely,
I think. There was the Game Tai Wild Rider. I remember that. That was kind of interesting because he had a remolded head. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's odd though, but there was the challenge at Cybertron, which was a better color scheme. Yeah, I'd say I like the color scheme on this a bit more. It's a bit more poppy. It's maybe a little bit more cartoon accurate. Unfortunately, when you zoom into the face, you can see where they've not really painted the gray of his face all the way around his eyes. So it looks like he's got pink eye a little bit, but what can you do? And I will say that the flame effect on his chest is a little bit lost as well. They've got yellow, very close to yellow-orange for the chest, and then the fire part is just yellow. So it just kind of mushes in. It doesn't look great.
Yeah,
otherwise it's color scheme wise. I think it's the better color scheme. It's just still.
I mean that's actually the version of that mold I still have.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, because I got it. I got the Battle in Space set where he.
Did you get it for Cyclonus?
I don't know what you mean.
You did. Everybody got it. Loads of people got it for Cyclonus because they had the correct colored, well, mostly correct colored, Cyclonus. Mostly correct colored Cyclonus in it. And then people were like, I guess I'll have to suck it up and have this shit figure again. I get you. I understand.
Yeah.
Then there was the Sons of Cybertron Hot Rodimus.
Which made him translucent because...
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, because I didn't know. There was the Battle in Space Rodimus. What one was that one?
I'm pretty sure that was just for challenge at Cybertron Rodimus in a different... Basically, the Battle in Space box didn't have Galvatron in, whereas challenge at Cybertron had Galvatron and Cyclonus versus Rodimus.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Then there was, for some reason, they decided to re-release it for Reveal the Shield. It must have been in another pack. Oh, this was the one available with Reveal the Shield.
Oh, is that one of the 2-pack? Oh, yes, it was. Yeah, sorry.
So what was the Challenge at Cybertron one? Challenge at Cybertron. This figure was available of Challenge at Cybertron Cyclonus. So this one was available with Cyclonus, and this one was available with Galvatron.
Oh, this was in Asia. Okay.
So the Reveal the Shield one was only in Asia?
Yeah. No, Reveal the Shield was Western release. Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Then they did the E-Hobby Hot Rod, which was blue and all translucent. Why?
It's the fact that he's had 2 translucent releases blows my mind.
Well, one makes sense because it's the normal color, but why a translucent blue version?
Yeah,
that's what I don't get. I don't think it's maybe it's referencing something from like the Japanese manga where he goes like, when a flame gets really hot, it goes blue. This is like his superpowered mode where he beat Ultimate Fat Galvatron Planet Unicron.
Never tell. The Japanese Transformers manga went.
It went places.
Weird.
It went places.
Yeah.
Then Hasbro Timelines, whatever it was fucking called, did Sideburn. An interesting idea. Kind of works.
Yeah.
They attempted to paint the asymmetrical head, and again, it kind of works.
Yeah. I mean, in hand, it's fine.
It's an interesting idea. I'll give them credit for having a interesting idea, even though it's on a mold that, again, by 2011, people are like, stop.
Yeah.
This is not a mold. Like Starscream? Okay, we get it. This mold was not the mold. They should have kept churning stuff out. They should have made more bees Bumblebee.
It's a fact that these Bailey's got used as different characters. This was all Hot Rod apart from 2 examples. Both those were BotCon sets or Collectors Club figures.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because there was the last version, which was the premium edition Autobot Hot Rod. Who did he come with? Premium edition Wreck-Gar. The one with the jaundiced yellow face and Scrap Heap.
Which had a different head.
That's right. I forgot about this set. This one, for those that didn't know, I don't know what they were going for color scheme wise. He's got like gray on his shins, a maroon on his chest, and then he's mostly red. So he's kind of again all over the place with his colors.
And silver. It's like they've picked from every version of Hot Rod they could find.
Yeah, he's got yellow hips as well for some reason. Yellow.
Yeah,
that's odd. That set was odd though, because again, like Wreck-Gar had jaundice. He had Lyme disease. He needed to eat a lime or two. But we'll get to him later when he kind of swings around. So again, unfortunately, not a great figure. Used far too many times for his own good. Had some interesting ideas with color schemes, but as a mold itself, not great, unfortunately.
He did get used as a base for one of those big upgrade kits when they used I think it was the same guys who did City Commander. They used him to.
God, what was it called? What was that set called?
I've forgotten the company now as well.
It was Fans Project.
Fans Project.
Fans Project. I can't remember what the Rodimus one does, but it did make that Rodimus figure look better.
Yes.
I think he also had the camper van look as well, rather than the sports car.
Yeah.
So that was kind of nice. I would argue that was a necessary upgrade because that was a shit figure. I don't think it made the figure much better, but it made him look cooler.
It gave him a lot more presence on the shelf, if nothing else.
Definitely. He looked like a leader. One of the really good ones, at least ones I really liked, was Mirage. Mirage was shockingly good.
Mirage was ace.
Yeah, he was interesting in the fact that he was so thin. He was
scarily so.
He was our runway model, showgirl, anorexia, bulimia girl Transformer. The first Transformer we'd ever had that I can remember that was this thin. The only one I can remember that was this thin prior was Broadside, G1 Broadside, ironically, based on the name. Yeah. But this one had loads of articulation. It was super posable.
Loads of posability out of him.
Had a really solid looking robot mode, and incredibly enough, a really good sports car mode. Now I don't know what kind of F1 car this is, but it's not like an F1 car that I imagine when I think F1 car. This is a different kind. Do you know?
Yeah.
You know things.
This is one of those.
Is it a real car or is it not?
I don't think it is, but I think it's inspired by not an F1 car, but like those hyper race cars.
Like concept things.
Yeah, but they only ever race in maybe once a decade because they're just so. When you think how much a race car or an F1 car costs, these things are like a scale above those by a factor of several tens. For how obscene they are.
Yeah.
But it's a nice looking alt mode. It's a load looking robot, and like you say, he poses like an absolute champ.
Yeah, and because he's so thin, he's got like no weight to him. So this was a figure you could do like crazy dance poses and stuff with like handstands.
Yeah, and the way that the feet are formed basically gives him ankle rockers.
Yeah, he had ankle tilts. So within this era, that was very unique, and we wouldn't see that as a consistent thing for many, many years.
I mean, there are only 2 things I can say as a negative about him. One, because of how slim everything about him is, his hands are they're 3 millimeter ports. They're not 5 mil.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's an anomaly amongst the rest of the line.
I would rather that though than what we saw with the 2-pack Optimus Prime, where he had clearly 5 millimeter hands.
Oh yeah,
and then his hands were just like so thin.
Yeah,
you know. So no, that's a fair point though.
So it means that his gun, he can only use that, and he can't use any other equipment.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter because he looks great.
Yeah, I'd say maybe another thing, if you wanted to be picky, is his backpack. I think it adds a little bit of an interesting silhouette to him personally. But
same. If
someone said that's an issue, I wouldn't fight them on it either, because it it is just stick up behind him at a weird angle. It doesn't bother me.
If they could have afforded an extra joint to bend it just that extra bit further back behind him, sure, but it's not a deal breaker for me.
No, I'd agree. But like I say, it's one of those things where if somebody did have an issue, I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
He got done a few times again, more than I thought, to be honest. He got done in 2007 as one of the extra things, so not part of the set, but something else, as completely translucent blue. So, I hope he's okay.
Doing his old holographic tricks.
Yeah, which makes sense. It's like, it's not very interesting, but from a lore perspective, it makes a kind of sense. For
a figure of his size, that waist makes me terrified, given its translucent plastic. That's scary.
I mean, there are a lot of joints that just like everything's translucent plastic about it. Everything. So, bit of a nightmare. Henke Mirage, we don't have image of it, but it was, it was Mirage, but a little bit crisper, whiter, and a bit of chrome.
Yeah.
Which is fine,
Yeah.
One of the better ones, because I think there are two really good ones from this mold, was Fracture, which was our first Crasher figure.
Hell yeah.
And arguably maybe one of the best ones, because I don't think the other repaints of them into Fracture have been desperately good.
I have two of this figure as Fracture.
This one specifically?
Yes.
Oh.
And I don't know if either one of them was a knockoff or not, because it was horrendously KO'd over the years.
Yep.
And I know the funny thing is that the first one I bought, when I got it, because I got it from I think that's when I got that one at a convention. And when I got it home, the waist had actually cracked.
Oh, no.
So I basically sat there with poly cement, gluing it back in and basically twisting it so it wouldn't glue the actual post that was rotating around.
Oh,
luckily, I managed to find another one for relatively cheap, which is what makes you think it was a KO. Definitely the second one, but they pose perfectly fine. They look the part. I actually quite like I do like the Siege repaint as Crasher. It's not perfect, but
I just don't like the mold, and I still don't think it kind of beats this one personally.
Oh no, this is a bang up mold, and it just looks great.
Yeah, it's very good. It was a good idea for them to do as well, to be honest.
It's
just a shame it came out when it did, because it's 2008 movie line, so it's one of those ones just kind of lost in the it's just a random repaint kind of deal, It's pretty. It's a good one. And then Hasbro did their Hasbro Special Edition toy shop things, which were like 4 figures. One of them was Overkill, and this one was Drag Strip from the mold.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. My issue with it was the color of yellow that they used was a bit more yellowy, I suppose. Greeny yellow, I suppose.
Yeah, a little more sickly.
Yeah. It's like if you saw this kind of color in the toilet after a urine sample, you'd be a little bit concerned. He wasn't like the... Because in my mind, like drag strip toy is more orangey. Cartoon version is still orange-ish, but not... this is more, like you said, the yellowy, sicky, kind of greeny color. It's not bad though, and it was an interesting idea, but he did get outclassed because it's Wanston to Con.
Yeah, it's a shame they couldn't stretch to a alternate head, because that's very clearly Mirage's head and not Drag Strips. But
it works for Crasher, oddly enough, or Fracture, I should say, but it doesn't, like you say, it doesn't work super well for. But
this was like the first Drag Strip figure since G2.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so it was something kind of interesting, and it was unique, and we didn't know that we were going to get combiners, because Combiner Wars was still many years off at this point.
Absolutely, and the thing is, these Hasbro Toy Shop editions were surprisingly. I still see them crop up relatively well priced, even today on eBay.
There only 4 of them, because there was this one that was Overkill. Because I remember the boxes were like black, and the artwork on them was like embossed white.
A wireframe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a Megatron and a Prime, wasn't it? But I can't remember which ones.
I think they were. I think they might have been based off of the 2-pack versions.
Maybe you're right. Oh no, I think you're right. That sounds right. It might be wrong. In 2009, we had the Electro distributor Liger, which I don't know where the fuck this was from, but clearly Japan is its translucent version. Black and clear translucent.
I think Liger was his name in Japan.
That makes sense then. Completely translucent plastic, but it's black and white translucent plastic. So an interesting look, but could explode any moment if he hasn't already. And then for BotCon 2011, during the Machine Wars era, for the BotCon stuff, there was just Mirage. So it's Mirage, but he's in kind of boring Machine Wars colors of not Fenrisian gray, but kind of that kind of gray, and then white. So it's kind of a flat color scheme. It's not that interesting, unfortunately. At least I don't think so.
It's not an interesting color scheme on this figure. If it was on a different figure, I might be more intrigued by it, but it just...
He's very much a background-looking dude again, with this color scheme on.
Yeah.
And then Henke did the Autobot Specialist Mirage in 2014, and I don't know what that is.
That was one of the 3 packs they did.
Oh, okay. So it'll just be the Henke one again, just...
you had the 2 Seeker packs, and then you had 2 Autobot packs to go with them.
Well, there you go. So yeah, this was Wave 2, right?
I think he was, yes.
I think he was. And this was a really good one.
Wave 1 and 2 were both 2006. Wave 3 was 07. And I don't think there was a Wave 4.
There wasn't.
Wave 4 is what became Classics 2.0. Or Generation 2.0.
Universe 2.0, yeah. So Mirage, very good figure. We now have Classics Jetfire, which did a lot of stuff. You got a lot of money for your buck here.
This was a real fun. I dug this figure so much.
He had some ugly leg joints and some, like he stood on his tippy toes, which was kind of interesting, and backy toes, I suppose. But generally, the design was really nice, and it was the first time we had a Jetfire that looked like G1 Jetfire for a long, long time. And the transformation was pretty interesting, and this was the Macross version, effectively. This was super Macross.
This is Hasbro basically saying to Harmony Gold, come on then, big boy.
Yeah.
Think you're hard enough. Because this could not be more Macross if it tried.
It could have been a little more Macross if it tried. Because I don't think it does the Go Walk mode. Funnily enough.
If it had a Go Walk and if it painted it in yellow and black stripe with a Jolly Roger on the tail fin, that's the only way it could have been more obvious who it was.
Yes,
but,
I agree.
But I've always had a soft spot for this figure.
It's not perfect, but it's got a lot of play features and gimmicks to it, which are not obtrusive either. They're nice. Like basic on his own, Jetfire, he's good. Like he's a perfectly good, solid figure. And if he just came with his left gun and right gun, and that was it, he would have been an okay figure. Like you look at his jet mode and you think of how he transforms, you're like, no, this is fine. This is good. Like the wings can either pull back or you can push them forward. Like the Sky Striker for G.I. Joe and all that jazz.
Yeah, the old Tomcat, he's spot on.
Yeah,
He's got enough of a sci-fi flair, so he's not a one-to-one. So like I say, he's still doing what the Classics line was kind of reimagining. Mm-hmm. And then you get the fast pack. Slap on him. And
before we talk about the fast pack, I will mention there's one thing I don't like about the base figure, and it's how they did the red paint on the wings. I don't think it's quite as nice as how they've done Starscreams and Skywarps that we've talked about previously. I don't know what it is about it. I can't put my finger on specifically how the colors have been laid out that I don't gel with. Maybe it's because there's a giant white center, and that's obviously because we've got the speed pack, the jetpack, speed pack, whatever you called it, to kind of fill that in and make it a little bit more cohesive. Maybe it's because that's missing. That makes it not work for me. Does it work for you? Is it only me?
Do you think maybe if it had been a bit more red on the body of the jet,
maybe it's
rather than just
I don't know
on the wings?
It might be that, or it might be the actual pattern itself that I just don't gel with. I'm not.
It doesn't have the pattern itself. You have to have the wings really swung forward, to get it to match up to how it's laid out on the fuselage. But I get what you mean, though. the thing is, it's not really replicating anything. It's just a pattern.
It's just weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. White says it's a Macross as legality would allow it. Very true. Very true, Mr. White.
Honestly, I'd have loved to have seen Harmony Gold take a swing at Hasbro for this. Just
would have been funny.
If it had just come out a little bit stuff, so they could have pushed them to do it, and that would have been chef's kiss.
Now, you wanted to talk about the speed pack, so go right ahead. Or the backpack.
I just adore it. You get the head that gives you the lasers, which is kind of the only part of it that's really essential because that forms part of the fuselage in jet mode.
Yeah.
But the fast pack itself, the way it just clips in, is
big heavy clip joints as well, so it's nice and satisfying.
Nice and heavy duty.
There. Yeah.
You got those nice pop out cannons, and then they can fold over the shoulders in robot mode, which is...
I love the fact that they pop out as well. You pull the little red bits back and they just nicely flip forward.
Yeah, there's a nice spring load in there as well. It's real satisfying.
Yep.
The two missile pods in his arms, not essential, but they're fun.
And they're nice and translucent blue, so kind of contrast the rest of the color scheme, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and then his gun is nice because it's a twofer. You can split in two. You can use it as either single guns or together to form that classic Jetfire looking double cannon.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's got its flaws. This figure, the hip ratchets are a little heavy. They're quite nice and chunky, but they don't give you a lot of. They're nice in that they're stable, but the gaps between the ratchets are so big. There's no subtlety to how you can pose him.
Yeah, there are big clicks rather than like lots of indentations, like you say, for more of a smooth pose. Also, like I said, because of where the joints are placed, they're quite low down to where you would think the hip would be. So it looks looks a little off, not quite right.
But at the time, I never thought I'd see a Jetfire figure, not one that looked like Jetfire.
No,
like a Veritech. Like a Valkyrie.
Yeah, because that fucking G1 Jetfire. Oof. Good luck getting that. Good luck getting that complete, not broken, and not yellow.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, there are now 4 separate versions in those exact colors you can buy for under $200, which is quite reasonable.
Yes, Hasbro's never going to re-release a Jetfire Skyfire and if you want that figure, don't worry. Like Big D says, just go to Macross. They've got one.
Yeah, not if you go to Macross. I've seen a few. There's one just come out in the last month, maybe in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
But it's not even a Super Valkyrie. It is Jetfire in its. Everything about it in color set placement is Jetfire. There's nothing, but it's still a Macross Veritech with all the
bits and the things.
But it's using some of the most up to date Valkyrie engineering.
Okay.
The Macross toys, if anyone's not aware, Harmony Gold can go do themselves because in Japan they've been churning out Macross toys for 40 years, and they've got that design down to a fine art.
Yeah.
And the high metal line is cheaper than buying a masterpiece figure, and
it's probably not going to die on you either. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, not from what I've heard.
Yeah, because it's Bandai. Is it Bandai that do Macross?
Bandai do the toys. They've started doing some of the model kits. I can't remember if it's Bandai. No, because it's Big West who are the license holders in Japan.
West.
I think Bandai have maybe subbed in to do some of the animation in the past, but it's weird because of how, especially in Japan, rights are a real minefield because of it's all companies and committees rather than straight. This company owns these rights. This one,
yeah.
But
woo and legal jargon.
Yes, if you want a G1 Jetfire, you can find yourself one. It's not hard.
Legally too.
Yes.
I say that because you made it sound suspicious.
Sorry, yes. If if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably had it come up in your news feeds. If it hasn't, I'll be very surprised. But there are versions out there. But it was nice to see the character back in a mainline Transformers line. We'd seen figures for Rift on it in the past. Was it Skyblast from Energon?
Oh, yeah.
It was clearly written on Skyfire. And I do kind of differentiate the two very clearly in my mind, Skyfire and Jetfire.
Yeah.
Because they've gone two very different ways. Skyfire is very much, for me, the cartoon character, whereas Jetfire is how... And it's the comics character, because the comics character has become a very different entity to the cartoon character.
Yeah.
So I kind of think of them in two separate terms because of my brain's wired that way. Yeah.
That's fair, yeah.
But no, this for me was one of the highlights of that first year and a bit of classics.
Yeah, there was a lot of things you could do with that figure. It wasn't just you transformed it. You did a lot of things with it, which was pretty nice. And he got reused a couple of times. Henkei, he was more white, I suppose, and just a bit more accurate. It's hard to remember. Got done into Universe Treadbolt, which is like, okay. Actually, not a bad color scheme.
No, this is one I still have, actually, because I sold on Jetfire.
Because this was a Micromaster, right? Treadbolt's based off a Micromaster.
Yeah, I've got the software because I had the team he was part of as a Micromaster. He was one of the last sets I ever bought, I think, when I was still a kid. But I always liked the color scheme because he had that nice metallic browny color they used for the limbs, which is not a common one.
See, I'm not a big fan. I like the jet mode. I like the blue and the yellow. I don't really like the mud brown color, I don't think, for the limbs. I don't think, for me, they kind of work well off the blue and the yellow. I don't think. The black works fine. That kind of complements that. The brown just looks a bit on the weird side for my eyes, at least.
That's fair. But I dug it. It's got like a bronzy tone to him. I like the way they flip some of the colours from Jetfire, so they use more greys for his equipment than blacks, which is nice.
Yeah, that's cool. The helmet's cool as well. They've got nice like silver paint on it and whatnot. They did the Gentai Dark Skyfire, which is shattered glass Skyfire, unfortunately. It's just black mostly, which is what we used to, black with silver, so it's very it was boring then, it's boring now. I
mean, this was shattered glass before shattered glass,
pretty much. They clearly, Hasbro looked at it and went, that'll do for shattered glass. Just like ugh. And then the version I also had, which was the Dreadwind mold, which I liked as well. I liked it more than the Skyfire mold because it had a new head, which I preferred. It had more interesting colors on it, and I liked him powering up as well. I kind of wish they'd remolded the Valkyrie helmet, just so it was a bit... I don't blame them. It would have been nice just have that as a different thing as well. Yeah,
I mean, the fact that he actually has the original head anyway, remolded into the original Dreadwind head, that's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It was pretty good centerpiece for that box set as well for 2007. I know a lot of people didn't care about it, but I did because I was like, I'd seen Master Force by that point, so I was like, I like this character. He's neat.
I mean, honestly, I'm actually quite jealous you have him because I always wanted that.
I'm pretty sure I sold that set. I think I sold that set because I was just like, I might be wrong. I'm sure I sold it at a BotCon because I wanted like £200 to £300 or more. I can't remember how much I sold. I think I sold it for a decent price though.
Yeah,
it was a decent set, but I didn't need that many Seekers and Bug Bite, etc., etc. So I was like,
understandable.
Space, money, all that jazz.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Megatron, Nerf gun Megatron. I really like this. He is a shell former, unfortunately.
Yes.
But I know some people did not like the color scheme on this one. I've still got both versions of him. We'll talk about his the other color scheme later. I like both versions. I think this Nerf gun version was a smart way to be able to get a gun toy out there.
Absolutely.
To the market and not have it be even if it's a sci-fi styled gun, to not have it silver helps a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The problem, I guess, is like I said, he's a shell former, and the actual transformation itself is very, very simple. There's more going on with Jetfire in a lot of ways, but this was the first gun Megatron we'd had since the original toy.
Yeah, and making that shell basically give him a cape was inspired.
It's a good idea. I don't think it.
Yeah.
I one of the issues I had, which I always wished was a thing, was I wish you could unpeg it. I wish it was something that didn't always have to be on the figure, but it's not. It's on a hinge joint. So
because if you kind of block out the cape, you actually have almost a perfect update to the G1 Megatron silhouette.
Yeah.
In terms of how he looks, and there's so much. I mean, sure, I wish that the cannon could be twisted around the arm because it's a bit awkward how it sits.
For those that don't know, it's not on the side of his forearm like it usually is. It's on the underside of his forearm, which it is a like you said, a bit of a shame. It's not a huge deal breaker, I found, but
no, and
it made posing him in the classic like pose fiddly because you just have to twist his arm upside down.
Yeah, and it's the nature of that era that we didn't get a lot of these. A lot of the joints we take for granted nowadays weren't a thing. They weren't a factor in these figures. Just the fact that we had a Megatron like this, that was in fact this articulated in any way.
Yeah, he had a lot of ratchet joints, right? They were in the knee, the elbows, were they in the hips? I think they were.
I think he might have done. He's got a lot of presence. I mean, mine is up on one of my shelves, surrounded by a bunch of Generation Goobers. So like Slipstream and the Terror Dive and Bludgeon and Dark Mount. And he's got the Energon Darksaber. So
that's cool.
He's looking quite nice and regal up there. It's a great figure. It was the first G1 Megatron that actually looked like G1 Megatron.
Yeah, at least like a nice close nod to it, at least. And the gun's pretty cool. I think my only issue with the gun was the handle, because of how the leg transforms. There's not a lot there to hold on to, just because the shoulder where the what do you call it? The kick is the thing that would hit the bullet.
The hammer.
The hammer, thank you. That goes a little bit further down the leg than you'd like it to. And for a child, that's fine. That's no issue. But for a growing teenage boy, it means that there's less handle to hold. It's not too small to hold. I'm not crazy like the mountain from Game of Thrones or anything. We wouldn't be able to hold this. But it just made it a little bit too small to hold comfortably. Unlike the masterpiece that came a few years later, which was too big, ironically.
Yeah, I've never been able to hold this one in gun mode.
Yeah, it's just awkward.
My giant hands are just not happening.
Now, in terms of repaints, he got a couple. He got the Henkei version, which is the other version I had, which is the G1 Acura version, and the one everybody obviously lost their shit for when it came out. As is the way. I liked both of them, and I remember even at the time a lot of people got rid of their original one because they were like, I don't like that color. I liked it, but this one is clearly the more closer to the G1 Megatron that you'd want. There was the United version, which I can't remember, but that was clearly another Japanese version.
I think he was just a reissue of the Henkei one, to be fair.
Probably. And then
maybe he had a little more growth.
You're probably right. And then there was the Platinum Edition, One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall Megatron, which was a Hasbro version, if I remember. That was mostly what people would want from a G1 Megatron, but then some strange details. Like on his legs, he has, for his hand, because his legs are his handle, red rims, red feet, which is quite nice. He has red forearms as well. But the thing I liked about it was the translucent plastic used for his gun casing was translucent red, which made that look quite nice. So his gun mode became a very, very, very red gun. I don't know why this was the thing. Who did he come with? One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall, Optimus Prime.
I think.
Oh, that's right. It was this shit version of Optimus Prime, the classics Optimus Prime, who we'll talk about in a bit. It was just mostly translucent plastic, which is stupid. Yeah, that's lame. The Megatron from that set, clearly better. I'm going to throw that out there. What do you think of this one, Big D? Do you like this one? What do you think of the Henkei version as well? I didn't ask you. Should have done.
I like the Henkei version. I'm quite happy with the original version just because it's different.
Sure, yeah.
It's Megatron, but it's not lavishly G1 Megatron.
Yeah.
But I understand why people have preferred this version, just because it is much more how they want Megatron to be. And I get that it's not as Nerf gun looking, but yeah, I'm that Platinum Edition repaint, recolor though, is lovely. That swapping the green for the red works really nicely, and I say that as someone who quite likes the green, although it's much more painted on the classics version. So it's really more green from the inside than from the outside.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where he hasn't really had a bad repaint, and because
he hasn't had that many, to be fair.
No, and also because it's so defiantly, it's only going to be Megatron.
Yeah.
And because
you could have done, I think you could have happily done him into Browning. That could have worked.
That's true. But also because gunformers have been a nightmare for Hasbro, Karis,
because you can make Nerf guns.
Yes, this is probably as good as we were ever going to get.
Like if they did another Nerf gun Megatron, I'd be happier than just getting a tank Megatron. Because like Studio Series, would you prefer a gun that doesn't look like a gun, or would you prefer a tank Megatron? I think I would prefer a gun Megatron, even if it doesn't look like his gun mode. Personally,
I'd take that.
But I don't think that's what Hasbro's going to do. I don't know if the laws have changed since 2016. They could have done. It's nearly been 10 years since that version of Megatron came out. Oh my god, it's nearly been 20 years since the classics Megatron came out.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. That's not just a person. That's a person like with a normal adult brain.
That's a person who can now drink.
And has been drinking for, a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, that's horrifying. There you go, Megatron. I don't think we'll. You know how we're going with time. I think we'll finish with Optimus Prime because this.
That sounds like a plan.
We had to talk about a lot of Seekers.
We did,
and I think we've saved arguably the best for last. This is,
I would say that's fair,
a quintessential Optimus Prime with very few flaws. And with two really fun, not gimmicks, but accessories. How many times was he reused? Let's see. I want to see that before we talked about the figure.
Few.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, more than I suspected. Huh, look at that. Some of them will be worth talking about. Some of them won't be. Let's talk about the standard Optimus Prime Classics Voyager figure. He's really fucking good. He's really good.
Yeah. This is taking the classic flat-nosed truck Optimus Prime and bringing him right into the 21st century. No long nose. They've made him a cruiser with a wind vane, big enough that he looks like he's got a sleeping compartment.
Mm-hmm. Did he have a lot of ratchet joints? I don't remember him having. I don't think he had ratchet joints like Megatron did or Skyfire.
I think his hips might have had some. But I can't.
In the image, it looks like his elbows are, but I don't remember them being ratchet joints. But it has been a long time. But it looks like they are, but I'm sure they weren't.
But he's just so much fun.
Yeah, he's a really solid, good transformation to him.
And the thing is, for me, he is the closest we've had to him since. For me, is the Reactivate Prime.
Which one's that?
That's the one that came with a 2-pack with Soundwave, the video game.
The video game ones, which the game's been officially cancelled now. I knew it. Everybody knew it. You were a fool to believe it was going to happen. You were a fool. Sorry.
But that one does the same thing. It takes that classic G1 aesthetic, and rather than trying to just replicate it, which, as much as I've really enjoyed some of the takes we've had in the last decade or so since I've really pushed into that sphere, I've much preferred where they've taken the look and gone, can we do something a bit different?
Yeah.
Reactivate does it. not as much as this, but it does it. And this is just like, this was the real mission statement figure for Classics line set, because it's just great.
There are some issues with it, and we can talk about them. The
bits hanging as forearms, they're not great, but
yeah, again, it would be nice if you could unpeg them. They just kind of hang there. They're a bit obnoxious. That's an issue. The wheels on the back, again, are very much, they're not hidden because his waist is so thin. Yeah. You can quite easily see them, and I don't know why, but if you look at the vehicle mode, it looks like there's translucent bits on the blue part where there's the hinge joint. And I don't know why they're translucent.
I don't think that is actually. That might just be some. I'm trying to think now, because I don't think mine's got any translucent there.
I'm pretty sure that is translucent on all of them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Unless you've got a different, one of the repaints, potentially.
I do have the Henkai version, in fairness.
That might be different then. That might be different. Yeah. On the original version, for some reason, that is a translucenty part, and I don't know why.
Yeah, because there's no real reason for it. It's not anything that needs to be translucent.
It's bizarre. But those are the only real issues, apart from engineering ones that we've advanced that weren't at the time. Like, there are no ankle rockets, etc., etc.
But for the time, this blew my mind.
Yeah, it was so good to transform. It was so fun to transform as well.
Fun to transform, so posable. He's got two great accessories.
Let's talk about the accessories.
Yeah. So you got the smokestacks.
The smokestacks don't look like smokestacks. That's a negative. However, I don't care because they make a really cool machine gun.
Yes.
Really fucking cool
machine gun. The best machine gun any Transformers had, I can think of.
You know what it is? It's a G2 machine gun.
Yeah. This is a Prime who's packing.
Yeah.
And is not afraid to make sure you know about it.
The gun that forms the top of the cab isn't as good and looks a bit more like a pressure hose kind of gun. It's still nice enough, but it's not nearly as good as the machine gun.
Yeah, works better as a shield. As quite a few.
That's something, yeah.
But it's nice to have it. Bit of a shame that if you've lost it, then you can see Prime's head in vehicle mode.
Yes, don't lose that. Also, the quote-unquote attack mode, I don't think is very good. It's just the flap.
So silly.
The flap where the hood pegs in and hides Optimus Prime's head, as you mentioned, just folds backwards, and you can attach the smokestacks to it, and that's about it. It's not very good. It doesn't really matter. You never have the quote-unquote attack mode, I would say. No. And then repaints, there are a few. There's the Ultra Magnus, which came with the Skywarp, which no one wanted this 2-pack when it originally came out. I remember this was sitting in Smith's. Woolworths. It was sitting in Woolworths for ages because no one gave a shit.
It's weird. They had 2 Ultra Magnus exclusives. They had the Energon repaint of Overload and this. Yeah. It was so bizarre.
No, Energon. No, I got the Energon one from Toys R Us.
Oh.
Yeah. Where I got Treadball and I got Energon Tidal Wave from as well.
I'm sure they're both marked up as Woolworth exclusives. Weird.
Toys R Us definitely had that one. I don't know what to tell you. I will talk about City Commander in a bit, but as a Ultra Magnus version, it's very boring. It's just white, and that's it. And you go, all right. Well.
But it was one of the first mainline figures that was a straight up Prime in white as Ultra Magnus.
That's not a positive. That's a negative because that became a thing.
But it hadn't really been a thing before this.
No, it made it a thing, and no one let it go.
This was post Jim Lee Transformers Series 2.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant Pat Lee. I was like, Jim Lee?
Oh no, yeah, Pat Lee.
Okay,
sorry.
You did mean. I was like, hang on, what? Jim Lee from DC?
It's getting late. Pat Lee, Jim Lee.
They're Lees. It's fine. We have the Shattered Glass version, which obviously is really cool. Has the extra paint apps on the decals. So all are gone. All that jazz. Kind of a nice color scheme. Has a lot of weathered looking.
Cute.
Yeah, it's just very good. The Henkei version, which you have, which is Way more accurate, obviously, to the G1 Optimus Prime. No, it looks like it's got translucent. No, it does have the translucent plastic as well on the hip, not the hip, the hinge joint.
I'd love to dig mine out, but he's in a box with that G3 trailer that Fans Project did.
Oh yeah, the one with the mirrored look
cutout on the box. Yeah, had the cutout on the box. So you could put Prime in the box of it.
Yeah, it was cute. I remember thinking like flipping down the trailer parts to have it mirror, and that's why you could never see because it's vanished because it's got all these mirrors on. A cute idea, but very stupid. I wouldn't say terrible because it's like, well, if you're gonna add mirrors to it, you're gonna have floppy down joints. It's just it was a bizarre idea.
Actually, was it the G3 one? It's the trailer that's got about. It matches the aesthetic of this Prime.
I'm pretty sure.
I may be thinking of a different trailer.
No, I think that's the right one.
There were a couple of trailers. At that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, this Optimus Prime is just, it's G1 Optimus Prime. It's like, yeah, okay. Fair enough. Universe.
It was very pretty, and I'm very glad I was able to pick one.
Yes. Then we had the Classics 2.0 Nemesis Prime. I can't remember how well this did, because this was one of the first Nemesis, well, apart from the Armada one, it was the first classic, quote unquote.
I never saw it on shelves. I think this was... it was San Diego. It was San Diego Comic-Con, that's why.
Oh no. Yeah, I remember. Yes, this was hard to get a hold of because it was a con exclusive.
Yeah.
Oh. I was like, did it do well in stores? I can't remember. It's like, it was an exclusive, so yes, it was.
And it was on Hasbro's toy shop for that weekend, and it sold out there pretty much instantly.
Yeah, who knew? Yeah, this was again one of the trend centers. It wasn't the trend center, but it was another one. Then there was the clear version, the United Black Prime version, which was obviously Nemesis Prime, but for Japan. United Ultra Magnus, which was Ultra Magnus, but for Japan. Obviously, they probably had extra colors on them. Cloud Optimus Prime. Was that a metallic version or another translucent version? No, that was the translucent version. No, that was Clear Convoy. What was Cloud Optimus Prime?
I can't remember now, actually.
Yeah. BotCon 2014 did Orange Jinrai, Fire Guts Jinrai, which is interesting. That's right. He had the cool Autobot insignia over the top of his roof. Looked like a Firebird. It was kind of fun. Age of Extinction Evolution Optimus Prime. I don't fucking know what that one was.
I had that one. It came in a 2-pack with one of the movie Prime in deluxe scale. Was
he just Optimus Prime colored though? Mostly.
Oh, he was, and I'll be honest, he didn't feel very nice. They used some very bad plastics in that set.
Well, also it was 2014, so he's quite old at this point. Then there was the Platinum Edition One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall, which we mentioned is, bizarrely enough, the forearm translucent shield parts are just completely translucent now and absolutely destroy the vehicle mode.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really significantly interesting in the robot mode.
But then we get probably one of the more interesting ones. We get Magna Convoy.
Which one was Magna Convoy?
Legends. That was the one based on the Diaclone Blue Cab that came with a funky sword.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay, yeah.
And I haven't got any pictures of it there, but it was one that I always kind of regretted not being able to find because it looked really great.
It was interesting. It's not one that I wanted, but I was like, especially in 2014. But I was like, you know what? It's an interesting enough color scheme.
Yeah, it was great. It was it was intended to be a new character. It wasn't Prime or regular Convoy. It was very specifically a different character.
What would have helped sell that? New head.
That's true.
Would have helped sell that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's probably worth talking about City Commander now, I'd say. I'm just finding
we probably should do.
Because this was the figure, the Ultra Magnus specifically, and this was the upgrade kit specifically that made people really take note of third-party companies.
Yeah.
Because I did not know about them before City Commander. And it is, again, a very, very stylized Ultra Magnus. It's not your your daddy's Ultra Magnus. It's not a comic Ultra Magnus or anything like that. But it really did make a white Optimus Prime look like something else.
Yeah,
dramatically.
I mean, they were leaning into the idea of what Classics was and trying to give us a Classics take on Ultra Magnus. And yes. I think they succeeded pretty damn well.
Yeah, especially for an early upgrade kit. Like there are issues like his neck's really long is one of the things, and how well it connects to the figure. And then you could, it's like I call it the Gridman Superhuman Cyber Samurai Cyber Squad kind of issue, where you can see like his bicep and thighs, and they're so thin now compared to his forearms and legs.
Yeah,
you know. You understand these issues, but you look at the package overall, and you go, you know what? Damn, that did look a lot better.
Yeah, and like you say, this was probably the biggest third-party kit that had come out at this point as an upgrade. Certainly for one of the most involved. And it was, I mean, it makes a really nice trailer. It makes a pretty decent robot with a huge honking cannon.
The cannon's ridiculous.
It's hilarious.
Is it a cannon, or is it meant to be like a weird Magnum kind of thing?
I think
like Dirty Harry's Magnum, just bigger.
It's gone. It Dakar. All the Dakar.
True.
But when you look at it, you just think the floodgates opened after that.
Because people rushed to get this thing.
Oh yeah, it was so hard to. I mean, I never got Magnus when he first came out. I picked him up later as almost a junker because he has no weapons with him. I never got a City Commander, mainly because by the time I was looking for it, it was a bit past things, even though I was hoping I could find one. And Combiner Wars Magnus came out, so I settled on that one instead. And I got the upgrade for him instead.
Yeah,
that works. But so many, off the back of this, so many other third-party upgrades just gained massive traction. I mean, I've got the upgrade kit for Cup to match his looking Last Stand Up for Wreckers and All Hail Megatron with the Saigar and the extra guns for that to give Perceptor his sniper rifle. Who was that? I can't remember.
I think they may have been just a one-off company, to be fair. I can't remember their actual name, though.
iGear. That was it, iGear.
Was it iGear? Oh, yeah. They haven't. Yeah. They're done. They don't exist anymore, as far as I know.
Yeah. But anyway, where we are now in terms of upgrade kits, we don't have that without City Commander.
And it's a shame because we don't have that now in some ways, because they don't really do this kind of upgrade kit generally anymore. Like the closest you get is DNA, and again, theirs are not nearly as I don't want to say intrusive. That's not the word. It's redefining, because a lot of these this and the Rodimus ones redefine what the figure actually was to make it something completely different. DNA designs don't really do that. They're more additions to the figure.
Yeah, we've moved on a great deal from kits that completely changed a figure to kits that enhance a figure.
And it's a shame, because I think there's some figures that could benefit from like completely changing them with upgrade kits.
Yeah.
Like Skullgrin from Legacy. You know, that's a figure that needs a complete overhaul, and a third party could have done something like that, which, you know, that's not what the third party industry is anymore, because we've kind of this felt more like experimental, and now it's more formulaic what we get from third party companies these days. Like you do G1, you stick with their original designs, and then you mostly do masterpiece toys, which is obviously my complaint for decades. And Fans Project used to be a real big heavy hitter, and now you know they're a small name now. They did some really interesting ideas as well, like Core Commanders, if you remember that, where they did one-off design.
Oh yes, yeah.
and it was going to spin off to a big line, and it never did. And they also did the Glacial Lord, which I loved. I thought was fantastic. It was a nod back to old G1 toy combiners, and they just never did.
I only found out a few weeks ago that was that was actually supposed to be the Technobots in Earth modes.
Oh, was it? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Never realised that.
No, me neither.
I was watching a video and someone pointed out. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
It's weird because they don't have any of the names and they don't look anything like the Technobots.
Yeah. I mean, Perfect Effect not even now, but when they were doing stuff like their kits for God Jinrai, that maybe be as close as we've had recently.
That was a while ago, though, and it's not nearly that extensive, right?
No, I mean, it's a new cab/core robot, the engine, and then a bunch of upgrades for the enhance for Super God mode.
Yeah, it's more than we usually get, but it's not to the it's not to City Commander or it was Protector. That was the fans project one for Rodimus. It was Protector.
Ironically, probably from that upgrade kit for Combiner Wars Magnus might be the closest, just because it did so much to that figure. It gave it better feet, a better gun, better arms, better hands.
Yeah.
Didn't really change the core of the robot, but it did enough. It had enough big changes to completely alter the feel of the figure in a big way.
Yeah.
But that might be the only one I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, all the others, I mean, you've got all the various combiner upgrade kits for like Devastator and the like. They're just kind of bits and pieces. Nothing really like City Commander or Protector, to be fair.
Yeah, it's weird. It's interesting to see how we've moved from there to now.
Yeah,
the deal.
Very, very interesting.
And I think that'll do us. That was all of classics. And because, like I said, we talked about so many fucking Seekers and repaints, I think this is a good place to end. And then next time we can start off with Universe and do all of the Universe figures. The ones I had set up for the rest of the stream would have been like Legends Beachcomber, Brawn, Legends Bumblebee, Cosmos, then Meth Kitty Cheetor, which is absolute nightmare, which we'll talk about. Cyclonus, who's a banger, even though Mikey didn't like him because he's the dirty Roningan. The Dinobot figure, which is fucking diabolical, and then Dark Wind, which is a repaint, which is actually okay. Yeah. Not great, but okay. But we'll get to them next time.
Absolutely.
But Big D, where can people find you on the internet if you want them to?
Oh, I am all over socials, yes, even for ones that are going down the toilet because I find myself unable to deactivate things. What, you haven't heard about the rapid descent into madness of the metaverse and for formerly known as Twitter?
No, Twitter's fine. Twitter's way better than it's ever been. Twitter's so much more quiet now. I'm really happy everybody's moved to Blue Sky. It's a really nice place now.
I mean, I'm on Blue Sky as well. Thankfully, most of the people I really dislike on Twitter, I don't get any of their stuff anymore because, well...
They're not on Twitter because they're not on Blue Sky.
Well, they're not on Blue Sky, but I'm still on Twitter as well, and I don't get any of their shit in my feed either. So that's been quite nice.
No, I'm quite happy with Twitter at the moment. I don't really use Facebook, so I don't know too much about it. I use Facebook to talk with Gruff, some family members, and my mate Matt, and that's about it.
That's probably wise. But yeah, I'm on all those as David Kelly, with either this picture or image of Cup, because he is very much my totem Autobot at this point in my life. Otherwise, I contribute to ukanime.net as one of the regular reviewers. Currently working through some of the new season anime, which I'll be trying to get some reviews up soon. And I'm a mod for the Fluff and Hammer Discord, where I have been roped in as Mr. Gruff's associate on his Deeper Dives podcast, which I've been quite enjoying. We're going to do some recordings tomorrow for that. Myself and Mr. White, we host Fluff and Busters, where we go through, we'll put a film on, talk talk over it, sometimes about it. And then Gruff puts it out as extra content. Not sure what we're doing next. I'll have to touch base with Mr. White on that one, see what we can do. And from time to time, I host Flood and Hammer Community Radio.
Yay!
Where I find someone and get them to talk to me for a few hours.
Are you doing any recordings with Gruff tomorrow?
Yeah, we're going to be doing some stuff tomorrow. I think he's got about 3 shows planned, which is cool.
Oh.
Friday, I might be trying to do a recording. I might be trying to get myself up early to watch the Warhammer live stream reveal show.
What do you mean early?
Well, it's a 5 a.m. show.
Oh no! Why? Just wait. Just sleep.
Yeah, I could, I suppose.
Like I value sleep more than I do reveals because the reveals will be there later. I don't need to see it right on the dot.
That's true.
I like sleeping.
See if anyone's around about 10 a.m. who wants to talk about.
You know what you should do? Like, if you happen to be awake, just like flop over, turn your phone on, then look at the internet because you probably have a mobile phone that connects. You don't need to get out of bed. You could just like doom scroll at 5 a.m.
What do you mean I could doom scroll at 5 a.m.? I do doom scroll at 5 a.m.
No, you need to sleep. No.
Yeah, that's me. Where can we find you, good sir?
Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as Decay Dandy. I'm also on the Fluff and Hammer every now and again. We're also on the Moonbase 2 forums, ccbunker.weebly.com, Moonbase 2 Transformers podcast, all those places. At the moment, I'm streaming the Dead Space remake, which is good old fun. No screaming has been involved yet. I haven't screamed once. No one can prove otherwise. No one. Not once. There have been no bugs or glitches either. Not one. And we're also playing Dave the Diver more. I think we're getting close to the end of Dave the Diver, maybe?
Does Dave ever end? Because it seems like it doesn't.
It
seems like every time I put on a stream where you're playing it, you seem to have unlocked another new mechanic.
Well, that's true. I think we're near the end because we need to open 3 keys to the plasma energy chamber because I can't remember what it's actually called, so we'll just call it that. And I've done 2 of the plasma energy keys, so I think we need 1 more, and then it's just like I think then I get the credits, and then there's just like cleanup stuff to do. So maybe it's 3 more streams and it's done.
Until the next DLC drops.
Well, yeah. To be fair though, we don't know when that's coming out. And we don't know what that'll be, whether that'll be like a new quote-unquote story expansion or whether that'll be like the weird Godzilla thing, which was just a small couple of day missions. I don't know. And we're also... what else are we doing? Path of the Exile 2, every now and again with Daddy and Jubal. So got that.
Yeah, I've been watching you guys play now. That seems like a good laugh as well.
Yeah, and it's not free yet, but it will be free. So Big D, if your PC can handle it, you'll be able to play for free at some point in the future. I just don't know when it's free. Yeah, it's neat. If you like Diablo, but you don't like, working with Blizzard, which is absolute shit show these days, go with that. The Cancer Man says yet. I assume he means in terms of my screaming. I mean, I'm sure the Cancer Man's probably seen my stream.
I think we need to go and review the tapes on that score.
Yeah, I think that's everything. So thank you, Big D, for coming and joining.
No worries. As ever, a pleasure to chat about Transformers for a bit.
It's fun. And until next week, where I think there'll probably be enough news to actually do a news show next week. We'll see you guys next time.